Welcome, Allison, John, to Britecast, one of my very early episodes. So, for the folks at home, please, tell me about 3-Star Social Solutions and how you started it, why you started it, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. First of all, thank you for having me. Yeah. Looks awesome and feels great to be here. I started 3-Star Social Solutions. It kind of was a slow start. It was more of a hobby. I have always worked in the nonprofit and the education space. And in the nonprofit and education spaces, there's not a lot of money for marketing teams. You don't hire external teams, if any at all. I mean, it's negative money.
Yeah.
So you don't hire external teams. You kind of look around and you say, oh, who has the creative capacity to take on this project? And 25 years ago, it was making flyers. And then 20 years ago, it was social media for Boys and Girls Clubs and for other places that I worked throughout the journey. And so I found myself just kind of always being involved in that space. Mm-hmm. So in 2018, I got a new job where I was essentially a communications manager, philanthropy and communications manager. And I really used all those skills, those that I thought were kind of soft skills at my old job because they weren't at all in the description.
Right.
When you're running a program at an after school program, they don't tell you, oh, you also need to make you for the dance, or you need to for the bake sale, or those kind of things.
And this is before Canva and stuff.
This is way before Canva. This is when if you knew Photoshop, you were like you went to school for that. That was a serious. So it was more of, obviously, let's say 25 years ago, starting with Word art, Microsoft Word, and making flyers and things like that.
Yeah.
And so all the jobs that I had, I always kind of did that. And I was pretty good at the creative side of it. Mm-hmm. And over the last 10 years, I've done a good job of teaching myself, educating myself, consuming content, I guess, to learn the more technical side.
Right.
So you can be as creative as you want, but if you can't put it on paper, you're not going to sell your book, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
you're not really an author if you can't put it right.
Yeah, so that just kind of going into the nonprofit space, you started doing more and more of that for CRI?
More and more. And then, and that's kind of what my main job was there.
Yeah.
And then I had people on, friends, people like you, not that, this was necessarily you coming to me, but people like you who were starting businesses and who were owning small businesses who now are large businesses, a lot of them. Yeah. And we're saying, hey, how do I do this? I have a friend with a landscaping company. No idea how to he wanted to still take flyers door to door and put them on people's doors. And that's actually not a terrible idea in some industries. It works very well in some industries, but it's not a one size fits all. And you can't do what you did 10 years ago now.
Well, you need to be, what I tell my clients is you kind of need to be doing all of it. Ideally, if you have the budget.
As much as you can.
You need to be doing ads. You need to be doing flyers. You need to be doing, door to door if you got someone that can do that.
Well, because all it is a battle for attention. Yeah. So you just need to be where people are.
Right.
Not everybody is scrolling through their Facebook feed. Some people want that mail. Some people want that. For me, I get annoyed every 4 years or every 2 years when I get all the political mailers. But there are probably a lot of people who appreciate that because they turn off the ads on the TV. Mm-hmm. They don't want to see the digital content. They would prefer to have make informed decisions or learn something from a piece of paper.
Right.
But so I had friends who started businesses and we just they said, hey, can you help me set up my Facebook? Oh, should I have an Instagram? Because this is, at a time where it was, do I need to do both? Or Instagram was scary because Facebook was...
Is that when they were separate before Instagram was purchased by Facebook?
Yeah. Because, and this has been, I'd say for the last 10 years kind of building, I guess. Right. Maybe even 2014. Right around the time when grandmas and parents started to get on into social media.
My grandma was on Facebook.
Kids,
she was more active than my mom, honestly.
Really?
Yeah, for sure.
Is it a good active? She was a good active?
She was, just posting nice positive stuff, some Bible verses and commenting on people's stuff. She was, she would still be doing it if she were around.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how you started, and you started as a side gig while you're doing CRI?
Yeah, and then one day I just said, I'm going to get an LLC and see what happens. And I said to Chrissy, my wife, I said, if, it'd be nice to make a few $100 extra a month. And if that's all it is, as long as it's not breaking my back or breaking the bank and we're not bleeding money, let's try it and see what happens.
Well, especially when you have when I was salary, I had to take side jobs because I knew that company wasn't going anywhere.
Right.
So what was I going to do to increase my revenue?
Right.
So you had to do stuff on the side.
Yep.
And it's great when it's lucrative and potentially moves into, a full-time thing as well.
Right.
So that's, when did you launch? Was that 2019? officially?
October 2019.
Okay.
October 2019. And then I launched kind of not a rebrand, but I kind of just launched and got myself out there. Just threw something at the wall just to see if it would stick, and it stuck a little.
Yeah.
But maybe 6 months later, I kind of tightened some things up, got a small website out there, tightened up my social media, make sure I had a presence on not all, but the necessary places that made sense for me as a one-woman show. You know, it's hard to manage all of it as one person. So I wanted to be slow, but I wanted to be intentional with where I put myself. I didn't want to just hear about TikTok when it came out and then run to TikTok and have a TikTok without really kind of learning about what it was. So I consumed it for a long time. And that's how I kind of slowly got bigger. Yeah. You consume it. Then you're like, oh, I can do this. And I might be able to do it just as well, if not better, than a lot of the people who are out here doing this kind of stuff.
So when you just throw it up against the wall, you know, I think that's honestly what more people should do. Just like see if it's going to work. Right. Try it, you know, and then if it starts working, then get super organized. I think a lot of people just focused on, I want it to be perfect before I start. Right. And that's never, ever, ever going to happen. So you just need to start and then work on the perfection part of it. And it will still never be perfect, no matter what you do.
For me, if it's perfect when you start, it's a flash in the pan and you'll fade.
Yeah, that too.
You know, it's like it can never be that perfect because then what are you going to grow to? What are you just like a one-hit wonder?
Yeah.
Like think about like a band they have the one hit.
Huey Lewis.
It'd be kind of cooler to have a little, you know, be more like, and I don't know, not saying musical taste or anything, folks, but I'm saying be more like Drake, who had 6 or 8 mixtapes and grew a large following and not necessarily a following, but an allegiance and trust. So when he dropped an album, and the first album he actually put out was terrible. Yeah. And it sold a jillion copies because people love him. So, I mean, building the trust slowly and see what works for you and your brand. Yeah. Because not everybody needs to be on TikTok. Not everybody needs a 40-page website. Yeah. And more people need landing pages than they think.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. For a musical artist, that's for sure.
And so that kind of just learning where it made sense for me to operate. And then and you probably find this too, in marketing, I had to also make sure that people come to me and they want me to set up their social media, right? They want me to run their accounts. They want me to do ads and creatives and things of that nature. Well, I have to make sure that my own is, we're good. I have to make sure that my own is decent or at least set up, or at least I have to be able to execute the principles that I'm on my calls with clients or when we go out and talk. I have to walk the walk. I have to learn the same things. I can't say, I'll run your TikTok without consuming TikTok and then running my own for a while. You know, you have to at least learn it. Not that I'm saying we as businesses have to put out a lot of content necessarily on those platforms, but I do think we need to be extremely well versed in all of them.
Yeah. Well, that's the reason that one of the reasons I'm doing this. One, I want to, learn from people and get to know them better. But also, if I'm getting 10 to 15, 20 clips out of it to give to you, but then I also get it, I have tons of content, every month. If I have, 4 guests a month, I'm going to have 60 short form stuff
if not more.
To put out, if not more. Right. So, that solves my organic content issue very quickly.
Yes. And because videos changed everything.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You can take a picture of something and then you can edit it how you want to. You can craft it and make it look a certain way, and we can do all those little tweaks. But a video, it's raw. It shows real people, real emotions, but we can also pull quotes from it. We can pull audio. We can pull stills. Yeah. I can take a picture and put words over it and have a quote. Like, that's one of my favorite things about video. And that's I think we all need more video. And I love that video is becoming more accessible to people who don't have tens of thousands of dollars for video equipment.
Yeah. I mean, this entire space, outside of the cameras we're using, I don't know, maybe $1,500 with everything. That's counting the lights, but you could do it for cheaper. Exactly. You don't have to have a neon sign. I just,
right.
It looks
cool.
It's cool.
But it's cool.
It's a little extra like lighting on the side too, just for.
But whatever the sign costs, number one, gets you out there. And number two, think about what we would have had to do 15 years ago. Even I know podcasts didn't exist, but think of it as we would have had to rent a booth or have studio time. And how many places around here, how many studios were around that weren't in somebody's janky basement?
That's why I always recorded myself. Because the actual access to a studio, the album that we recorded, that was back in 2009. I think just to have the drums and guitars done, we paid like $5,000.
Exactly.
And now you can get some, kid in the Philippines to do it for $500.
Exactly. And do it well.
Yeah, and do it really well.
Do it really well.
Yeah, so I mean that's an amazing thing. I mean, one of the goals, honestly, is to prove concept with Britecast.
Yep.
And then I would like to get a studio space and have other people come in, because the hardest part is the editing part. Mm-hmm. But I think I figured it out.
Yeah. So
I think I found a way for it to be affordable and not super time consuming.
I like it.
So that's the key.
Yep. Yes.
So how you're involved in Old Town Strong and other community stuff. How has that like affected your business and helping it grow and expanding and stuff like that?
I think it's definitely improved visibility. I think that, however, because for so long my business 3 Stars was not kind of my full-time focus. Mm-hmm. I don't think I necessarily capitalized or grabbed all of the, and I say that in a kind of a facetious way, but I wasn't necessarily out there originally to grab business, just as you weren't. We were out there to create something and put something out that can bring people together and do something cool.
Right.
It naturally progressed into a place where you could network, because the people who came out for Old Town Strong initially and participated in any of our fundraisers or any of our sales or events were people who had a large stake in the community, business owners and people on city council and those kind of things, the mayor and all that. So I think naturally it has helped my visibility as a business. And it's led to some really good connections. It's led to great long-term clients, but it's also led to some really nice one-off projects. And when I say that, being involved in events at some of the bars or restaurants, being involved in things downtown, fall jubilees, and we, with Old Town Strong, doing the bar crawl, and just kind of being able to connect with people in different spaces has been good for me.
Right.
Because even if people don't know, say you don't have any idea that that's who I am or that's what I do, after we have a conversation and spend a day together at an event, you might be a little more trustworthy, or you might be more apt to call me for, your menu needs an update. Or your something at your restaurant needs a refresh.
Right. And you don't have to go out like trying to sell yourself all the time either, but I think it just tells people, oh, you do that? Because I think most people kind of assume that, oh, you're a W-2 employee for somebody else. Right. And whereas there's a lot of entrepreneurs, but they don't always talk about it. So I do think it's good just to let people know, and that, again, part of the reason I'm doing this, like, do you even know that I do what I do? Right.
And I think a lot of people don't. I think a lot of people would connect me with Old Town Strong just as they would with you or 8 to 10 other people kind of in our group, in our board or core group of volunteers, let's say. But yeah, no, it's been good. It's been a good. It's also been a good way for me to stay abreast of what's going on in the community.
Oh yeah.
So if I have 4, 5, 6 clients and they're within a 3-mile radius of Old Town, I'm naturally in the know of things that are going on in those spaces just because I'm posting about them, or I'm consuming content that allows me to create content for those spaces.
Right.
So it kind of naturally keeps me connected, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is good for my business.
Right. And it keeps your, you can let them know what's going on if there's something they need to get involved with, whether it's philanthropically or just an event if they want to show up to, or, if they want to be a sponsor for things, that's a good thing.
Right.
So what kind of Old Town Strong initiatives have you found the most rewarding, or what in general?
So in general, I love, just kind of as I love working with the small businesses, I think it's a similar type of reward. I like just being connected with the people. I like that working through all the initiatives, like under large umbrella, all the initiatives we've done have brought together, I'd say 30 or 40 different groups of business owners. Yeah. Right? And which has allowed us to work together and grow events the next year or month to month. Old Town is a space where people want to help. Yeah. People want to get involved, and it's not always help. People want to get involved. People want to be active. A lot of times people just don't know what to do. And I think Old Town Strong gives people a space to at least say, that's cool. I like to eat appetizers. I like to drink beer. I like to play bingo. And cool, I like to raise money. Yeah. Let's do all those things. Right. So, shout out to the fundraiser tonight, I guess. But since it's not live, it won't really matter.
Yeah,
I guess
well,
we'll cut that
well,
one.
it's once every month in Old Town Manassas for whoever's listening, and follow oldtownstrong.com. We raised $5,000 this past quarter, which I think is great with matching. I think it could definitely grow beyond that. The more people know about these events and everything, I think it could definitely, skyrocket above that. And getting people that aren't actually just in Old Town Manassas, that people that are in, technically this house is historic district, right? So, getting a little bit more involvement from people that travel into Old Town, I think would be a good thing to do.
And I think like how First Fridays has done. First Fridays brought people from Fairfax, from Warrenton, from Woodbridge, who 5-10 years ago would have never thought, not they would have never come to Manassas, I don't mean to say it to slight, but it's just they never would have thought to come out here because they didn't know what they'd be walking into. And now it's a place to be, for First Fridays. But I think same can be said for events, not just Old Town Strong events. We have a core group of people in this community who throw fantastic events, every week, every weekend. You go on your Facebook, the events right now, I bet you there are 15 things going on tonight from different vendors and restaurants and businesses and social groups in town. But I think Old Town Strong does a good job of bringing people in and giving them kind of something to support month to month.
Right.
I like, I've always thought people want to help, and I still think most people are good. Most people have good intentions. Think about when someone passes away, your grandparent passes away, or you got someone close to you passes away. Everybody's just going to say, not just going to say, but so many people don't know what to say. Yeah. And they're going to say,
this is the worst.
They're going to say, well, just let me know what I can do. Let me know what I can do. Let me know what I can do. But the friend who says, I'm bringing dinner on Tuesday night. Do you want mac and cheese or do you want pizza? That's more helpful. Right?
Yeah.
People all want to help, but if you give them a place to put that energy and you assign things, we assign the different nonprofits, or we have the different, even people who like to just come out and eat the food for the food challenge and call themselves the king
and just
of
have a
Old
community,
Town,
because I think most of the people, I don't know if they're religious or not, but it provides a sense of community for people that don't go to church.
Absolutely.
Speaking as someone that went to church for a long time, I don't go to church now, but I'm not saying anything about that. But one of the things that happens when you leave church is that community. And that's a big reason that you're there in the first place. Right. So, it can be like our own, not church, but essentially the same thing.
Fellowship.
Fellowship. Exactly. And just a reason to trying to keep those like ethical and moral things together and trying to do something good in the community. Right. Like, that's kind of one of the reasons I want to talk to churches more, because we both want the best for the community. Right. We're just coming at it from different sides. Right. So it'd be good to like bridge the gap.
And another good thing about churches is churches, or at least the most engaged and involved of churches, they know their people. Yeah. They know the needs and they know the strengths. They know what their people can come together and do. Yeah. They know the deficits. Right. And the more we learn about the community, because we might think we know the community, but
we know our little piece.
What if we only know our part, like most of us do in our lives? Many of us, we think we know so much, but then we talk to somebody from another side of the world, or somebody with a totally different job, or somebody with just different hours, working hours. Yeah. And it's like, whoa. Yeah. I just learned something here. So I agree. I think we increase our reach with churches. I think that's a fantastic way to go. I think we've done a pretty good job in this last maybe 6 months of trying to increase our reach, maybe with families, taking away so many of the food challenges and adding, the bingo. And we have the bingo tonight.
Which I'm going to win.
I hope you do.
I've never won anything, but I was a DJ for a long time, so I feel like I might have. Yeah? Yeah, we'll see.
It's a skill set?
Yeah, I don't know. So how do you deal with managing the challenges, since you are like a one-man team for now, one-woman team for now? How do you deal with like life balance versus working, and how many clients you are going to take or not going to take, or any of that sort of stuff?
I think it's still a work in progress.
As for me.
I think that I have, over the last few years, learned myself, learned what kind of my boundaries at least should be.
Yeah.
and then learn how to execute them properly. So you can't take on too many projects at once,
Yeah.
right? But you can't underbook or underpromote or under focus on yourself either.
Yeah.
There has to be a balance. And I think I've done a pretty good job just in the last few years of figuring out what that is. But it's always changing, right? And so if you're in the middle of building a huge website and then you have this other thing and then someone wants you to start writing their blog and then all of a sudden someone wants your CRM and you have to train them and you have the calls once a week, it becomes very taxing.
Have you been spying on me?
See how that blinds up right there? Yeah, that's me. Tell Jesse not to worry, it's just me. But I've started to listen to my body, I guess, listen to my stresses when I become stressed in something. There are strengths and weaknesses when it comes to everything that we do in marketing.
Yeah.
We're generally better at, a few things than we are at others, right? And just in life. I would never take on multiple projects that are more stressful unless I'm going to join forces with somebody else who, can help, whether it's contracting something out to someone I trust or whether it's just getting advice or working on it together. And so for me, that I would never take on 3 or 4 website jobs at a time while I'm managing X number of social media accounts a month.
Yeah.
It wouldn't make any sense because I would bang my head against the wall. It's not where I could do it. I would drive myself
What's your quality
nuts.
of life, though, at that
right,
point?
just
You're not
with me.
going to
If I had 2 or 3 staff under me, very different.
Yeah.
Build away. Let's build. Let's take them.
Yeah, exactly.
Social media is a little bit different, though.
So how do you set expectations for clients on what to expect for social media? If they're not engaging and, they're not doing a good job on their end, there's only so much you can do by posting and trying to get a following and stuff. So how do you set expectations?
I like to be very clear up front about what I offer, what I can do, but what I can do is contingent on a lot of other factors, right? If you make the best pizza on the planet, and I know it because I've had it, right? It's awesome. But someone goes into your restaurant and the floor's dirty and the bartender's rude and the bathroom sucks, I can't sell that pizza like I could if you walked in and it was an environment like Monza or Puccio's food truck or Benny's or
Very
somewhere that is inviting and
engaging. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So a lot of it has to do with before you take on a client, I like to have kind of in-depth calls. I like to make sure that we're a good fit. And I have found myself in this. I've said this before, and I feel like it sounded pretentious, but the more I think about it, that's not who I am. So anybody who would know me knows that that's not what I mean. But when I take on a client, I almost like to interview them as well.
Right.
They're having a call with me, a discovery call to see if we're a good fit. I want to learn about their business. I want to learn about where are their pain points.
Right.
I want to learn
And are they expecting
troubles.
that as someone starts doing social media, they're going to double their revenue immediately?
What are the expectations? And where also are you coming from? If you're coming from zero expecting to make $1 million, well, great. But what's your plan?
Because
I need to see part of that
piece
plan
of the
as well.
pie.
Right.
Yeah. Do you have sales guys that can close?
Right.
You know, if we get you more leads and stuff, are you going to be able to do anything with it? All that sort of stuff.
Exactly.
I mean, that's kind of what I've learned a lot. In the beginning, you just have to take whatever job you can, or I did because I had lost my job and I was running out of my severance and stuff. So, I was like, I just got to take whatever I can.
Right.
And not having owned a full-time business before, I just took whatever.
Right.
And I didn't really understand how to set expectations, but now doing it after, 4 or 5 years, that's the first conversation I have with somebody.
Right.
All right, you want to have us do Facebook ads or TikTok ads or whatever, Google ads. Okay, well, the first 3 months, those leads are going to be terrible.
Right.
But by the 3rd month, 4th month, on average, you're 2 or 3xing your, ad spend.
Right.
But that first couple months, but when I wasn't setting that expectation, I lost clients.
Right.
Because I didn't let them know, or I didn't know to let them know that, hey, this is how it works all the time.
Right.
Until we have enough data to retarget people and stuff, you're just going to kind of get not that great of leads. But we're using that to...
It's a process.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I think a lot of people do expect... Not a lot. I think there are a lot of different types of business owners or people who, whether they're hobbyists, business owners, people who want to use a platform, whatever that looks like, who have different expectations. You can have a really good idea, but if you can't get it in front of people,
right,
it doesn't matter. We've talked about that. I think there are a lot of people who have expectations that, okay, the idea is out there, the world should be flocking to it because it makes social media makes it makes it look so easy to sell $1 million in revenue or volume, whatever it is, whether you're selling charms for your Crocs or whether you're running a marketing business, right? It's not an easy thing to do. And I use $1 million just as a number pulled out of the sky. It could be $100. Mm-hmm. I don't know. But I think setting expectations, but also having conversations with your client where you're building trust. Not every client is going to be a quote unquote friend, right?
Yeah.
But making sure that you guys are on the same page with what are you looking to do? What are your long-term goals? Why are we doing this? You just, you want to make
just doing X it because everybody else is doing it?
Yeah, you're going to lose your house, so you need to make $100,000 this month, and you think me running $50 worth of Facebook ads, it's not going to save your house.
Yeah.
But in the long term, we could craft a strategy that might be a little more beneficial to you and your home and your mortgage lender.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, that's been one of the biggest things that I've figured out that I have to do immediately. And, like kind of interviewing, if some people are like a little bit delusional, I either raise my price like double, which sometimes people have just said, okay, but at least I'm, getting paid more for my time at that point. But I'd still rather work with someone that has seen what I've done for other people, trusts me, and just kind of lets me run.
Right.
And I have several of those. There's a book, a marketing book, and that's called a snow leopard. Okay. Where they're very elusive and they don't come around often, but when you find them, it's amazing.
Right.
So I'm really trying to look for those people that we can help, and they just trust us to do our thing and kind of leave us alone. Obviously we're going to, report back with whatever, but as long as everything's working, they just stay.
Right.
And it's mutually beneficial.
Yeah, you're bringing them business. You're honoring, you're delivering on your deliverables.
And once, at the first couple of months are figured out any kinks, then it's kind of just, rinse and repeat month after month.
Right.
Right. So that's, the best thing.
Yeah.
The best thing to have instead of the people that come and for me, they want like some SEO work and they're like, $500.
They want to rank number one.
They want to rank number one.
So do I.
In the most competitive.
So do I.
Yeah. So do I. Everybody does.
Yeah.
That's what
and not everybody has $500, but there's a lot of people out there with $500. So we can't all.
Yeah.
Rank number one.
Coming from like the W-2 world, what do you think like the biggest lessons that you've learned as you've transitioned to more entrepreneurial stuff?
Well, it was nice every 2 weeks to know that little
yes, that is very
check
nice.
Was coming. It was nice. It was easier to plan things in my personal life. I think if I know if my 3 stars money, I don't want to call it extra because the way that I've built my life, we've built our life.
Yeah.
Takes all of our funds into account, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we're not planning right now currently a vacation. We don't have 2 vacations planned a year out. And it's not necessarily because we don't have the funds, but it's because it's a little uncertain. It's uncertain on, in 6 months, am I going to decide, hey, I want to go back and I'd rather work for a marketing company. I would rather, I'll still keep my 3 stars on my clients because that's my baby and that'll be mine. But it makes it, what would the word be? It's I feel not apprehensive, but it's less.
Well, you just have
it's
to
harder
be
to get comfortable.
Cautious.
Yes.
And I think that's wise. Right. Ultimately.
Absolutely.
And
I'm sure you feel the same way. And
yeah, I mean, I'm not going to work for somebody else unless they pay me a buttload of money.
Right.
I'm not going to do it.
Right.
Primarily because the commute part of it. Maybe if there was something remote, but I'm doing pretty well.
It's not a lot out there remote. I'll tell you, I was in it.
I know there's not
5 hours just looking at it,
and that's what Jesse's been looking for stuff for a long time. But once you've been remote,
it's hard to go back.
I'm not going back.
It seems
I'm gonna
awful.
tooth and nail as long as I can. And I have some great clients, and that I don't have to. And I think, this next year is going to be, like I was telling you, that this is the year for Leos financially. Like, I don't even believe that stuff, but
No, but wouldn't it be nice?
but I kind of do.
But wouldn't it be, well, if you manifest it, isn't that what they say? Like,
yeah,
you get
I
your
mean,
vision board and you manifest it, and
Each
then
year
there
that
it
I've
is.
been going full speed, I'm up 20 to 30%
Right.
over the last each year. So
great.
if I can do that again, that 30% is that much more, like
Right.
significantly more. So I'm really pushing like the CRM side of it because
Yeah.
you know, that's like the sticky thing. We're starting like cold calling and stuff. We have like a few systems that we've created and they're working well for like landscape design and build, general contractors, and some other like home service types of companies. And that's just like we can solve these couple things for you. And then it gets a conversation about, you know, what else do they need help with?
Right.
So we're going to like Google Business, searching like a company, like an industry in Richmond, and going to the bottom of the list. And who's
saying,
at
"Hey,
the
look-
bottom? Hey,
look
your
where I
reviews are
found
terrible."
you.
Yeah, exactly. Is this where you want to be? You've been
Right.
in business for 20 years and you
Yeah.
have 5 reviews, you know?
And the crazy part, 10 years ago, it mattered exponentially less. Something like
Yeah.
that mattered so much less than it does now. If
Yeah.
you've been in business for 20 years and you have 5 reviews, that's like me going on Amazon and trying to buy something. And it can be something that is $6,
Yeah.
$13. I mean, a small, minuscule kitchen tool. But if you only have 7 reviews, I don't want it. I'll spend $4 more on the Amazon choice that has
Well, just
22,000 reviews because people,
Yeah.
it's trust, it's proof, it's reputation management is
Right.
the name of the game. It's the only thing that stayed consistent in business
Yeah.
for the last 100 years is managing your reputation
Right.
and fighting for attention.
And there's a lot of these like, especially in the contracting space and stuff, there's a lot of these old guard that are there that
Yes.
started the company
Yes.
before there was the internet.
Yes.
With mad respect, you know,
Correct.
that they've been around for
Yes.
that long. But they're either going to be selling that company or, you know, they have, you know, maybe their kids are
A
going to be
younger-
taking it over.
yes.
Well, my pitch to them is, all right, well, let's say you do want to sell it. Isn't it going to be that much more profitable if you have 200 reviews as opposed to 7? You know?
Right.
And so like our initial small offer is like, we'll just help you with your reviews and to grow them. And then we can tack on all the other stuff that the CRM can do. But like, I think that's an easy way to find someone. You got a terrible website and you have not a lot of reviews and you've been around for 20 years. That's the market we're going
Right,
after.
right.
Like, and I think it's going to,
And it's a good market because it's not like you're preying on people.
no. And it's
You're
a small,
helping people because that's literally an indication that they need the support.
Yeah.
And for me, I have a target audience and it's different, but my target audience is people who either are too busy or don't have the knowledge to get it set up and get it going, but they know that it needs to be out there.
Yeah.
Or people who I have conversations with or their kids have conversations with, or somebody who's a little more in the digital space has a conversation with them when they're complaining about their sales or complaining about their visibility or their happy hour or whatever it is. And it's somebody has a conversation with them and says, you have to be in this space. And they come to me and say, I don't know what to do. I don't want to do this. Here, someone do it for me.
Yeah.
So it's people who either don't value it and don't really care, but know it works. So they do value it.
Yeah.
Or people who just don't know how and say, do it, and then we'll work together to. And generally, those clients who don't know how, and then we work together after a year or 2 years or 3 years. Every now and again, they'll send me a little piece of content, like I know this is terrible, but
Yeah.
here's a special for this day, or here I, one of my
Like when
clients,
Greg would try to make stuff.
it's but it's
Yeah.
it's a testament to someone having that. It's exactly like when Greg. By
Yeah.
the way, let me not gloss
Yeah.
over that. Exactly like when Greg would make stuff, but it was even when some of those were rustic. But it was a testament to the fact that he was learning and he was trying, he was getting involved and educating
Yeah.
himself in a new space and a new, not just the community space, but the digital side of it is
Yeah.
And so I can really appreciate a client who, one of my clients, a restaurant, and I won't, call out the client name, but a restaurant, and they do a weekly promotion, and they have to take a picture every once a week, and he sends me the picture, and I post it once a week, and we do more posts than that, but this is just the one that he does. And so I, was going in there, and we were having meetings, and I took we'd get scheduled out a few weeks in advance, and I was taking photos, and one day he said, "How come your photos are so much better than mine?" I said, "Well." Number one,
It's me.
yeah. No, but what I said was, well, show me how you're taking the picture. And he pulled out his camera and was like,
And I was like, well, I've identified a few problems. But even something as simple as asking that question, now when he takes a picture of his liquor bottles for his special, he turns his phone upside down like he would be taking a picture of a skyscraper.
And have it backlit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or has something in the background that isn't...
That's
not a turn off. You know what I mean? Like, at least it's
not the bum at the bar.
And they're great. And now for like the last 6 months, sometimes I'll send them back a message that says that. Look at you.
Yeah, that's
Did
awesome.
you edit that yourself? And I appreciate that because sometimes, I don't think he's coming for the job. He doesn't need to replace me. But
it's just good for him.
It's good for him, and it's good for the engagement of the business.
Yeah, exactly.
It's good for the business owner. If you're a business owner, you're also in marketing. You have to market yourself.
Well, you've seen those terrible, like on Nova Foodies or whatever, like when people just take terrible pictures of food, like, oh my God, it really makes a difference.
Right.
A badly lit and badly posed food or drinks, like it can really make it.
Right.
I'm never going there.
I agree. But on the contrary, too many staged and stock photos will be a turnoff as well, unless you're an upper echelon, more of a Michelin star, or more of a farm to table. But say, take the places in Old Town. You want a combination of your professional photos and your well lit, not even professional, but people who can take a good picture.
Yeah.
But you also you don't want bad pictures, but you want pictures that show that real people took them who might not be paid actors.
Yeah,
Every now and again, when you see that, you're like, well, this is the worst picture I've ever seen, but this man said this is the best burger he's ever eaten in 66 years on this earth, so let's try it out.
Yeah. Speaking of best, you got to go to that Thai place. Have you been?
No, but I've heard good things. This is Stonebridge,
Cow
right?
Eatery. Oh my gosh,
It's great.
It's Stonebridge.
Where in Stonebridge?
Right next to Alamo. And the ice skating rink.
So by Aroma, Latin Fusion.
Yeah.
Have you been to Aroma?
I have not been there.
We're going.
Okay.
It's very good.
Okay.
It's very good. And they do
tag them in this.
They do Latin music night too. So we
nice.
should go and Latin music.
Do they have dancing? Okay.
Yeah.
Jesse will want to go to that.
We'll go dance.
I need to take like salsa lessons.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Yeah, you can keep up.
I can keep up.
Yeah.
My hips hurt the next day.
They do. My hips hurt the next day always anyway, so it doesn't matter.
That's age for you.
Yeah, no kidding.
So we talked a little bit about, staying on top of trends and everything, with AI coming out and like everything changing, all new apps and everything. How do you stay on top of, all that?
So first of all, I love AI, and I love how and I say it all the time too, it's exactly, I call it that as well, but AI is so diverse and so different. There's so many different types of AI. I just think that people get weirded out about it when they hear it. Like you said, they think the robots are going to take over the world. And
Terminator 2 is right around the corner.
I know, and AI is so much more than robots or anything like that. I remember like 5 years ago, I saw this like little short, I was probably on TikTok or something like that. And it was a comedian saying that whenever he talked to his Alexa or his Siri, he was always really polite and just like a gentleman. He treated her like a lady because he said when the robots turn, they're not going to get me. And so when I saw that 5 years ago, we're like a Google family, right? So we have the Google Assistant. So I'd say, and my phone's going to light up when I say it now, but I'd say, hey, Google, give me blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it did. And when they answer the question, I always say, thank you. Thank you very much. And I always say you're very welcome because it's not going to turn on me either. But
once it gets sentient, we're screwed potentially.
Literally this morning, I caught myself thanking Google, and I thought, this damn AI is in everybody's brain.
Yeah, I mean, so we're using it a bit for. We now have like AI voice assistants and also like AI text bots and stuff, and it's pretty intense in how much you have to train about a company. Right. But once you do. It really can pretty much answer like 99% of questions for people. So we're using that as a service for people. We've only like had a couple so far, but it's so much easier. Let's say instead of having a call center, which is going to be like $4 or $5 an hour for that overseas call person, the AI is like under $2 an hour. So it's. And the couple of them sound a little cheesy, but if you find the right ones and you train it properly, you wouldn't know that it's not a person. The whole goal, like especially in a call center situation, be like, it's after hours, just get the person's phone number, try to book an appointment, and keep it, short and sweet.
Right.
It's not like you're going to talk philosophically about, whether AI is sentient yet or not. But it can, help close sales and,
The automation's great.
oh yeah,
The
absolutely.
triggers, and it just even for me, something as simple as pre-scheduling content. I
Yeah.
mean, and having content that I can take, and like you said, like we were talking earlier, I can take a piece of content and break it down into 3, 4, 5 different shorts. I mean, that is extremely effective for both my brand and
Yeah.
the brands that chose me to represent them, to put
Right.
them into the air. I think it's interesting because we both own marketing businesses. And while I use it for automation and things of that nature, right? I think in my space, I use AI a lot more for content creation.
Yeah.
I use AI a lot. Even something as simple as about 2 years ago, I started getting on Bing, which was probably the first time in 15 years I'd gotten on Bing. Because
It's surprising it's still there.
Have you been on lately? Because
I
it'll
haven't, no.
blow your. Please spend.
Are you a Bing salesperson?
I'm not at all, but maybe that's the job. Maybe that's the W-2 job I'm looking for.
right?
Can you send them this clip, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll tag
Thank
them.
you. Tell them I'm not
Bill
paid.
Gates, we got
not
your
a
person
paid
right here.
actress. Thank you. But it is. I got a new work computer a couple years ago, and it just kept forcing me to go there, and I had to go in before I got to optimize it
Yeah.
and set it up to go to Google Chrome. And it was just the Bing. It was popping up from everywhere. All the Windows pop-ups. I hated it. However, it led me to the Bing homepage day in and day out. And through my frustrations, one day I clicked on image generator. And so image generator will give you, I believe, 15 free prompts a day.
Oh, wow.
And the images that I started creating 2 years ago on there, I started... we have a mutual friend, many mutual friends,
Yeah.
but our mutual friend, Courtney.
Yeah.
Courtney and my wife, Chrissy, and I have a group chat. We actually, all 5 of us
Yeah.
have a group chat as
Yeah.
well, but we have a group chat. And I started... People would say things, and I started taking what they said about their day and creating visual representations of
Okay.
it through prompts. But that's how and I'd put them back in the group chat, and it would be funny.
Yeah.
Right? Ha ha ha! Yeah, that's hilarious. How'd you make that? Why are those cats wearing tutus? I'm like, well, that's because, and
Right.
But what's cool about it is through joking around, through messing with friends and making fun of
You're learning a
ourselves.
skill.
Because AI for me, when it comes to like, if you're talking about image generation or even content, if I want to pull out I want to summarize something I'm doing.
Yeah.
I can have that same piece of content that I can have a document that I want to summarize, but I put in a prompt one way and you put in a prompt another way, and we're going to get totally different information
Yeah.
out of it.
Yeah.
It's like Google. If you search something, you might search for something one way and I might search for it another. We're going to get totally different articles. And
Right.
that doesn't have anything to do with the algorithm. It has to do with what we input.
Yeah.
But just messing around with it, because I like to, even if I'm sitting on the couch, watching TV, I'll be in Canva making fake album covers. You've seen, just
Yeah.
of pictures that I think are funny from Tuesday night out, but practicing on that Bing, I'm telling you, go to Bing. It's not my favorite. It's choppy. It's exactly what you think Bing would be.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I mean, it's free, though.
It's really cool.
Understanding prompting and
and
stuff.
I've learned how to. I've really learned how to work. Through that, I learned more about Discord and Midjourney and a lot of the
Yeah.
content creation in there. And I am pretty decent at making some outlandish.
Midjourney is dope.
It's dope, and it is weird to learn. It's
Yeah.
like you went back 25 years on the internet.
Well, because you have to code essentially.
Yeah,
As opposed to ChatGPT is like, hey, write me a paragraph about.
Someone's already coded it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I mean, I still have Midjourney. I don't use it as much as I wanted to.
I don't either.
I think the next step. So Illustrator started doing something like that.
Yeah.
It's not as good as Midjourney.
Right.
But once they can figure out the text part of it, or if Midjourney can turn what your picture is and then turn it into an Illustrator layered file.
Right.
Oh, it's
One of the workarounds that I've found, and I haven't used this actually put it out for clients, but when I'm learning it and when I'm messing around with stuff, I'll put things in Canva. And Canva in the last 2 years is, I think their
they're stepping
software
it up.
has done more in the last 2 years than any software I've ever seen improve in 2 years. It's absolutely fantastic. But you can take one of those, say you have the best AI image. But okay, for example, today I was making a header that I'm going to put up tomorrow because we have our happy hour tonight.
Yeah.
So tomorrow I'm going to start promoting I think I called it the Bourbon Street Bash and King Cake Challenge or something like that. I don't remember. So I wanted to see what AI was generating. I just wanted to see what their idea of like King Cake Challenge flyer would look like. It's not really a flyer, it's just a header.
Yeah.
And so what I did was I made it and they spelled everything wrong. So then I put it into Canva, and Canva has word grab. And it grabs it so cleanly now. Like,
really?
You go in, you grab it, it's gone. Now I can put new word art over it. I can put it in the same angle. And now, if I can get it to be a better resolution, that's kind of like a primitive way to do it.
Yeah.
But if that's how it works now, it's going to get better and better and better.
You could make vector file.
Yes, I could make that work if I needed to.
Right.
It
That's
wouldn't
the
be
game changer.
ideal, but
you're not blowing it up into a banner anyway. It's just going to be on
It's gonna
someone's
be a little
phone.
exactly.
Most part anyway.
2-inch square on someone's phone. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, so I've going back to, when you started with flyers, that's actually how I learned Photoshop.
Flyers
was
are
creating, because there was such like a learning curve. There was no Canva. There was no anything like that. Like
Nothing.
if you wanted to make something that wasn't in a Word document with clip art, or
Clippy.
Yeah, Clippy. If you wanted to make something that was like kind of cool looking, and looking back, they weren't cool, but it was
Right.
not just a normal flyer that I was
Right.
making for all the shows that we did.
Bevel the edges and emboss the photo and all that.
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
cool.
Oh yeah, I mean it's douchey
Yeah.
now, but
Yeah, of course.
But to be able to like cut someone out of something was super difficult in Photoshop. Like,
And now we can do it in our phones. We look at it and
you
say,
just
get
tap
that
the
guy
person
out of there.
Yeah, I know, right? So I mean, it's. I don't think I would have gotten into graphic design if I didn't need to do it for making flyers.
I always wanted to be in marketing, but I wanted to gear more towards sports.
Okay.
So if you would have asked me when I was 12 and again when I was 15 and then again when I was 18, I would have told you I would have loved to be like a Jamel Hill, a commentator, an analyst, a sports analyst on ESPN. One of the girls with 3 guys around that gets to kind of be the talking heads back and forth, kind of like this, but arguing about sports. Like,
Still time.
Yeah, there's still plenty of time. And actually, good segue, that's what this is turning into. Thank you for coming to my first episode. Wish I had a name off the top of my head. It would have been so much better. But I always wanted to be in like the advertising, the marketing. I always liked in school when we had the projects, I was in a sports marketing class. Mm-hmm. And it was design your own shoe, but then market it and sell it. And here are the specifications.
Yeah.
Design your own shop. And then here, what are you going to sell? And kind of like business planning stuff. But the idea of taking something, putting a different spin on it, and putting it out to people in a different way always was interesting to me, always appealing. But I didn't think, but then, 10 years later, now I'm making Microsoft Word flyers for summer camp.
Right.
And now I'm like, I'm better than other people at this.
Yeah.
I was just, not that everyone, but I'm better than the other people that were doing it before me.
Yeah.
And I just continue to get better as it. I'm sure. Like
once you get access to Photoshop, once YouTube really started, oh, dude, everything that changed the whole world in terms of what you can learn.
Yep.
I mean, I've learned pretty much everything I know about web design and graphic design from YouTube.
Yep.
I went to school for marketing, but that was more like, concepts
So it's
and
concept
stats
marketing.
and analytics
Exactly.
and that sort of stuff. And that was 20 years ago. The landscape is very different.
Marketing's a different world.
Yeah, it's totally different.
Right. It's not even the same job.
No, it's not. It's because social media didn't exist, and back then they were like, "How are you going to pay for radio ads?"
Right. Right.
Which doesn't exist
Exactly.
anymore. Yeah, so that's been a big change. Yeah, so one question I wanted to ask you was, what are things that you see in potential clients or current clients that like they're constantly doing wrong? Or is there a pattern to what they need to fix? Or, because I see one of the things was expectations like we talked about, but I'm curious in the social media space if there's certain things that you notice that people are doing wrong.
I think people, like we kind of touched on it a little bit ago. I think there's a common misconception that once you put yourself out there, people are going to flock to it. Yeah. And so think about we're inundated.
Narcissism?
That,
egotism?
but also just a lot of it is just naivety. Like just being naive, thinking, okay, well, I consume all this content and say you own a ketchup company.
Yeah.
I don't know, right? And then you see other ketchup companies online and you're like, well, I could do that. My ketchup's better. So you create a Facebook page and comparing apples to oranges, I think is a big problem. We can all sell
You mean
T-shirts.
ketchup to mustard?
Exactly. That's the but hit the button. He hit the button. I need one here.
Yeah,
I need
right.
a remote one. Is there a way for that?
I could probably figure it out.
I think we should do that for volume 2 when I start my first.
My first AJ Talks about
know,
sports podcast.
TALX, all right, .com. Can you build that for me?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Where were we?
Yeah.
Help me.
Talking about like people that do consistently things wrong with social media or like
I think
expectations.
people think that because they see other people doing something or doing well, Nike just made a simple shirt with 2 words on it and they sold it. So now we try to emulate Nike. We try to be someone that we're not, or we try to just be another company.
You don't have Michael Jordan either.
That's exactly it. It's
Yeah.
about building trust. So I think people think that they can just start a Facebook page, get a website, run an ad,
Right.
do any of these things, hire assistants, do whatever it is. They think that all of a sudden they're going to be Nike
Yeah.
or Apple. And Apple didn't just sell those Nike doesn't sell $42 Jordan t-shirts for you to come out here, copy their ad and try to sell $42 t-shirts. That's a $4 t-shirt.
Right.
And so I think making sure that we're not comparing, ketchup to mustard is important, and having
Yeah.
realistic expectations. I also think that we are so inundated with content every single day. Everywhere we turn, there's an ad,
Yeah.
a logo. I mean, but everywhere we turn, there's pop-ups and there's drop-downs, and even on your TV now, all of a sudden it's like, hey, what is
Yeah.
this? What, you upgrade your TV and you think you're fancy, and then you have a little fancy AI assistant who keeps popping up in the middle of your Netflix.
Yeah, right.
I'm trying to watch Queen of the South, and you're ruining my time. It's everywhere. So I think that because people see it everywhere, they think, oh, well, people are, just because I put it out, they think if they put it out, people are going to consume it.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
Right.
It actually works in the opposite way. People are so sick of consuming content that you have to hit on something that they're looking for.
Right.
You can sell windows, but you might not hit with just pictures of windows. Maybe you need to tell a joke.
Yeah, there's this guy on TikTok. Typically this type of business would not get a lot of followers, but he's a mowing company, SB Mowing. Have you seen him?
No.
So he goes and he finds people. I don't know where he's from, but finds people that have like overgrown lawns and probably are a little bit on the destitute side.
Does it for free.
He does it for free.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
For the channel.
I can watch that for hours.
Yeah. And, that's unique. He's doing a service for somebody, but there's also like other people that just make funny content.
Right.
Like, why am I going to watch a plumber?
Right.
Why am I going to do that?
Right.
Because I don't want to see that you're changing a drain. I don't give a shit about that.
Right.
So I want to see
I want to see the gross stuff you pulled out of the drain last week, but in a funny way.
Or like a pressure washer that's that's a little therapeutic to see something getting cleaned up. I love his idea though, the mowing guy, just to help people.
I like it
and he's
too.
making a ton of money.
I like it too.
Just from TikTok. Which
Yeah, he is. And he's fantastic.
that ban should
soon
not
to be
happen.
Reels.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, well, just go to Reels. It's not the same thing.
It's not the same.
It's not even close to being the same thing, and I'll die on this hill. I hope it's not today.
What do you think is the problem? I have my opinions, but I don't even really use it that much. But when someone sends me a reel, I'm like, oh, let's try this again, and it's just
So I use TikTok. Look at it from the other. I'm looking at it from the other side of the coin. I use TikTok as a search engine. Mm-hmm. So if Facebook 3 years ago was the second largest search engine in the world, like people don't think of it as a search engine, but there's a search bar and you type stuff in it. Well, that's a search engine, right? I wonder if TikTok is taking over that, but probably not with just unique. But with TikTok, I can, for example, huge Commanders fan. Shout out to the Commanders, first playoff win in forever. And so on Monday, I was feeling a little nostalgic, and so I put on my Commander slippers and my hoodie and my hat and my jersey and sat on my bed and went to TikTok and searched Commanders fan reactions, playoff wins, and cried watching fans cry. You know what I mean? It was like kids watching kids unbox toys.
Yeah.
I was like crying watching fans cry. And then I went to and I thought, TikTok, this is going to be gone. Oh man, I got to save all my videos. So now I spend an hour going, I downloaded this thing where I got them all on my laptop, but I wanted them on my phone too. So now I'm spending way too much time on TikTok. And so then I thought, well, let me go to Reels and search fan reactions, Commanders playoff win.
nothing.
I mean, I was getting some stuff, but I was getting like.
Well, I think
I was
that's
getting
what,
press conferences from 5 games ago. I was getting
Yeah.
related content that a Commanders fan would
because their
want.
algorithm sucks.
They're trying to give you content. They're trying
Yeah.
to force you content. TikTok allows you to go and search for what actually exists and pull it.
Yeah.
And
Hear that, China? We like
it's
TikTok.
trash. And I don't want to like get bombed by Zucks or anything. Like,
Right.
don't take me out.
Yeah.
We like our life. We live a simple life.
yeah,
Don't take me
yeah.
out. But it sucks. And anybody who thinks that it's better than TikTok doesn't use it the way that I use it.
Yeah, I mean, I only got into TikTok because like COVID and other people started using it a lot.
So fun.
I was always like, "What is this stupid dancing?" And then like within 2 weeks, I was like scratching and
Yeah.
like you know,
stupid dancing.
meth head. Yeah,
That's exactly it.
and not even posting that much, just doom scrolling,
Yep.
which is not good. But it was super entertaining, especially at that time when it's like you're not getting any other human interaction except for Zoom calls with people.
I would encourage anybody who wants to bake a recipe, like make a recipe, bake
Yeah.
cookies. I apologize, my throat is so
You're
dry. Go on TikTok and search grandma's whatever type of cookie, whatever type of cookie or cake that you're going to bake, and look at the way that TikTok delivers visual step-by-steps on that. And then do the same on Instagram. You're not
Right.
going to know how to bake those cookies on Instagram.
Yeah.
It's going to just be people eating them like, man, these cookies are good.
Right.
It's not the same. It doesn't
Well, because
grab
there's
the
not
same content.
You're right, and the people, there's not as much of an incentive with the way the algorithm works and how it spreads to people. Like you can actually make a living being like an Amazon affiliate or something if you show real good recipes, like a lot over time. Obviously, you have to grow your following, but it's a place that you could actually grow a following.
Right.
Facebook is not.
No.
Instagram, maybe sometimes.
Yeah,
It
it's
used
just
to be
for putting
in
out
the beginning.
good photos that you like the way the sun sets. Like that's
Yeah.
for Instagram. Don't get me wrong. I love the gram. I'm on it. Every
Right.
time we do something fun, there's boom, little square.
But it's not for like
But it's curated.
becoming famous the same way that, well, it was.
Correct.
Like when Instagram first started, there was like real potential to gain a following if you're consistent and you have something of value that people actually want
Right.
to see or watch. But once they got bought, they became this Facebook, the visual version of Facebook, in my opinion.
And it's so redundant. What I
Yeah.
like about TikTok is it's just a little bit, it's way different than anything you're going to see in other places. Instagram is just the same pictures that you just had on Facebook with no word, with fewer words.
Yeah.
And I'm going to miss TikTok. I
I don't think it's happening. And by the
hope
time
not.
this comes out, we'll know for sure. But
we should buy it.
well, it's not when when it was banned in India, you just couldn't download it anymore. But you could still use it. You couldn't update it. So as
Okay.
long as they can't go into your phone and say stop.
Right.
That's not what's happening with the ban. It's that you wouldn't be able to upgrade. Like,
What about TikTok.com?
I don't know exactly.
Because
like
remember-
a desktop version. Not that anyone uses that
Right.
really anyway, except for maybe certain.
Well, you know how
content creators.
Virginia cracked down on porn, pornography, and online porn.
Boring.
So I didn't. Boo. Well, I didn't know this, and someone said it to me, and I was like, "What do you mean you can't go to whatever.com, whatever hub.com?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, this is real."
I mean, they might be doing that with TikTok.
So I wonder
possibly.
if that's the way that's the way that I was thinking. Because I was like, "Oh, I didn't even know. When did this happen? Oh, a year ago. Oh, all right." Well,
Whatever you think about the next administration, I think that he likes TikTok. I think part of the reason he wanted
he should.
TikTok.
He should like TikTok.
So I think the ban will happen for like a day, and then he'll do an executive order. There's way too many people that are now. Should there be some sort of? The problem is China doesn't want to sell the algorithm. If they sell it, that's the problem.
and it's so good.
And but that's the whole purpose
it.
of it.
It's
you
it.
know, if you throw the Instagram algorithm on, it's going to be just as trash. So that's the real key.
Algorithm
the way
built by Elon.
yeah, the way that it works. I mean, sometimes I get stuck into like a political
Great.
version. But
Of
if I
course.
just go search puppies for 5 minutes, then I'm going to get puppies
Forever.
again. Yeah.
Search
you know?
tattoos.
Yeah,
That's all that's there is
yeah,
tattoos.
right.
That's what mine's filled with right now.
Right. But you can just change it. But, like I had that one video of Cousin Rodney that went
Yes,
viral.
yes.
But that went viral. That would not go viral anywhere else.
No.
Because right time because the song that he did, but it keeps pushing it out to other people. Like I don't expect that necessarily that this podcast is going to be viral.
Right.
But who knows? If I'm able to put out 100 clips a month,
Right.
eventually I'm going to have some sort of following.
Right.
Right.
You have to.
Or it,
Or shut it down.
well,
Just kidding.
There's either a following and or I'm getting new business for it. One of the
Exactly,
two
yes.
things.
Both are great.
Yeah, I mean, and
take it.
so that's the goal.
Yeah.
I want to do funny stuff too, though.
I think you should.
Just get you and you
What about like
because Trent has 2 more of these mics.
because you could have some questions, but just like regular conversation questions that have to do with like things going on in town
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff, right? But then maybe even a game like stop and then play around a skip bow or around and just see what organically comes
Right.
out
And then you can
of
cut it
that.
into whatever.
And if it's trash, it's trash. But
Right.
sit here for 3 or 4 hours and then cut 90 minutes and then cut that 90 minutes
Yeah.
into 30 quality pieces of content, whether they're 3 seconds or 300.
Right. I don't know if you watch Joe Rogan's podcast, but he has Protect Our Parks. It's him, Shane Gillis, Mark Norman, and Ari
Yep.
Shaffir.
Yes.
And that they just shoot the shit. Obviously they're famous, but it's really
like,
just
think at all these the DraftKings. So sports betting becomes legal. Then sports betting, all of a sudden, every sports betting platform now is a podcast. And now those podcasters I see all the time because I sports bet. And so that's on my feed all the time is them in the booth. Like, and it used to be what you'd see on ESPN, but now they can actually have a little more real conversations back and forth and they can really trade opinions. That's awesome to me.
right.
I think there's value in that. And it's naturally funny.
Right.
You don't want to drive.
Well, a lot of people that are famous for podcasting weren't famous before they started podcasting.
Right. Right.
They're just consistent about it.
Right.
And they're, charismatic or funny or, whatever. But oftentimes started at 0.
Right.
Which is where, I'm starting. But I feel it's also a better Saturday night than going to a club or a bar for me, right? Just sit around
totally
here, have some beers and
Have some drinks.
shoot the shit.
I'll bring charcuterie.
Yeah.
Or we'll just hit the taco truck on the way. Either one.
Or both.
Or los dos. We'll
or
do
both
of
for
them.
sure.
Yeah.
So what are your goals for 3 stars? Or are you kind of in like an interim phase where you're trying to figure out what the next step is?
That's
in
exactly
general?
where I am.
Yeah.
Because I ended
No
up
shame in that,
No,
like,
no.
yeah,
And there isn't. It's been an extreme full disclosure. It's been extremely disheartening. Last few months, as you're familiar with it. I mean, I lost my job in September, and it was the restructuring, and they changed around a lot of things, and a lot of people lost their jobs, and it is what it is. My story's not unique. A lot of people went through it, especially during COVID. It is now, since it's in my world and happening to me, a lot worse than it was when it was happening to everybody else.
Yeah,
how that
funny,
is in
funny
life,
how that works.
right? Isn't that crazy? But when I say worse, I mean, I didn't expect it. I didn't see it coming.
Yeah.
And then it just happened, in an instant. And that's okay. That's things go how they go. Like
That's usually how things happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I spent a couple months just saying, all right, I'm going to take October and November, and then I'm going to just kind of feel sorry for myself and wallow around, but really think about what I want to do with 3 stars, but not really make too many changes. We get some things done around the house that I've wanted to do, reconnect, do some stuff. We went on vacation for 2 weeks instead of a week.
Yeah.
And I never would have been able to do that had
Right.
I had a full-time job with somebody else, because that's a lot of vacation to take all at once, right? But now the last month, I have found myself equal parts revving up plans and ideas for 3 stars on how I can kind of branch out, whether that's within services or whether that's really paring down services and just attacking. And see, when I say attacking, I mean going out there and seeing who's there and are you interested in what I can do? Because this is what I can do, and I will do it, especially if you're starting here.
Right.
There's no place to go but up.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
do
maybe even some of those people that I was talking about that we're going to be pitching for review stuff.
Absolutely.
Hey, we have a social media person on our team that we partner with or whatever.
Absolutely.
Because that if someone's that low on Google Business, they're probably not doing a lot of things right.
Correct.
You know,
Right.
So once you tack on one thing and it starts working for them, they get a bigger budget and then go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So over the next few months, you're just kind of
Yeah, and I'm still
plan
I'm looking online to see if something aligns with what I want to do, and you know, if I find something full time, that is the goal would be to either in 6 months either be very happy at a full time job and still be making great revenue at 3 stars and enjoying both, or maybe finding more do some things on Fiverr.
Yeah.
Things of that nature, more kind of smaller contract work, and spend the rest of the time really amping up 3 stars and trying to get it to a certain, not number a year, but a certain place where I know that I could kind of replicate things and feel comfortable. I would love to be able to hire someone.
Yeah.
That would be...
I mean, even a VA, once you figure out, like, one of the things that we talked about is, like, packaging and stuff, and I think I don't know if you do have specific packages. Obviously, you customize it, but I think you charge more if you customize it and say, these are the 3 things, because that's, like, replicatable. And you could tell a VA, hey, I'm sending you these 20 photos, you schedule them out, and, you know, inside, you know, our CRM, they have an AI generator for text.
Okay, that's cool.
And images, too, now.
I love how all the platforms are starting to get it. I mean, even like MailChimp and Constant Contact and the Donor Perfect CRM and Canva.
Right.
Everything is generation now for text, which is great.
And well, for this, too, you can put it all in, like, pending, so you could just go and approve it. So if you had, like...
That's what I would want, right? At least until I became comfortable that...
Yeah, I mean, you need to have, like, you know, your SOPs or whatever for that person, what your expectations are. But, you know, if you could sell, you know, the lowest package at $200 or $300 a month, and you're paying that person 50 to 100 of it, you know, and all you do is sell,
right?
Dude, that's
great.
the business that I want to move into.
Yeah, that's what I want to be into.
You know, and I have some people that use good VAs over in the Philippines.
I do.
You know, so whenever you get to that point.
2 of my very good friends have a real estate software company that they've built from the ground up, and I actually kind of got into a little more the other side of marketing through him, doing some reputation videos, for companies, landscaping companies and things like that. And this was probably like 2012, 2013, Google reviews and all that. But I think they have 50 virtual assistants in the Philippines, or maybe more than that, or maybe less. I don't know the numbers, but they've been very happy with them, and they've actually kind of grown. They've grown a following or grown a friendship with them. Are we done?
Nope. Go.
They have made friends with them, and I know that they send them stuff like they have Philippines have a tradition where you get an extra paycheck a year on a certain date in July, so they send them an extra paycheck. Like, they don't have to do that as an American company. Most don't even know. They send them Christmas presents, but like in July, they send like Christmas in July. And like, so they've essentially built a team in the Philippines with something that sounds like, oh, just go get a VA, just go get a VA, No, they've assembled a team of virtual assistants who now is loyal to them and trusts them and vice versa.
And they're making good money.
They're paying them double and triple what they would be doing if they weren't being paid by them.
Yeah. And that's awesome. I mean, I think people think of it like, you know, it's a sweatshop, that sort of thing. No, it's
not.
We just live in a super overly inflated environment, and they don't.
Right. Right.
You know, so use their skill. Like, it's mutually beneficial. They're not mad at you. They don't feel like, oh, you're only paying me this much. And you know, once you get people, if you're paying a manager $10 an hour, that's a lot of money.
Right.
You know, whereas here, you know, you can't even buy a burger anymore from Five Guys for $10.
And paying somebody $10 who does great work, and then the next year giving them a $2 raise doesn't hurt our bottom line, but could make the total difference in someone's bottom line living somewhere else, doing the work.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
you know, so on the ending of this, I'm going to present you with
a presentation.
Washington Red. This was mine from 1993.
I'm so excited.
The year
Jesse
after they won the Super Bowl. Yeah. Now I think they sucked that year, but you know, we were still hopeful. I think Mark Rippon was still there.
Mark Rippon.
Yeah. So that's
This is lovely.
Yeah.
And we just took down Christmas, but we have not yet put it away. So this is going to slide
right
right into
in
that
there?
box for
Okay.
next year.
Perfect.
Oh, this is perfect.
Well, thank you for coming. This will be one of many, and we'll do all the fun stuff too.
I love
at
it.
some point.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks.
Appreciate it.
Take care.